Have you ever spent hours and hours polishing up your campaigns, and then you go and hit enable, and you're waiting and waiting, and your ads are not being served, right? You're not getting impressions. They're not running. Well, we have a few quick fixes here and a nice troubleshoot checklist that you can go off of. That way you can get your campaigns up and running. Stick around. All right, so as media buyers, sometimes we do run into certain issues, especially maybe when we're just starting out, but even then, right? Even with advanced media buyers, we may have little annoyances, right? Some nuances about our campaigns not running. There's certain things that are just not clicking. Audience size is too low. There's different things that we're gonna cover one by one, right? I'm not gonna mention right away here, but I will go step by step and kind of break down different things that you need to look at if your campaigns are not running, okay? So let's start with number one. The first thing that you want to look at is your notifications inside your Google Ads dashboard, right? So let's look into my screen here. Essentially, once you're in your Google Ads account, on the top right, you'll see this. Here, this is where you'll get served a lot of notifications from Google, and they'll let you know things that maybe the system has picked up on, right? So maybe at times you can see that your ad groups are missing ads, right? Or you can see some sort of missing payment notification, certain restrictions with your targeting. So this is where you're gonna see that. This is your little informative, what do you call it? This is your basically your center here for information on your account, right? And things that you need to kind of take into account. If you don't have any notifications here, then you're probably golden, but that may not always be the case, right? Something similar happened to me earlier. You know, ads were not running, and it turned out to be something that's not even evident here, right? Which I'll get into in a second, okay? So that's the first thing. Just keep in mind, you know, Google, for the most part, they tend to do a good job at ensuring that they're informing their advertisers about any specific anomaly that may be, you know, evident with your campaigns and your account, right? So, you know, and that's a simple fix there too, right? At times, right? If you have everything enabled, but perhaps you missed enabling your ad group for whatever reason, or you missed enabling your ad, so that may be a quick fix. Sorry. So that's one thing that you can do to check that. Okay. You'll be surprised how many times this happens where you go and create 10, 20 campaigns, you hit enable, and then you're waiting and you're waiting, and it turns out your ad groups are paused, right? So one thing to look out. It's very basic stuff. Okay. Another thing that also comes up here in this notification bar is if your ads are approved or disapproved, for that matter, right? If they're approved, nothing will show up on there. They'll just show up as eligible if you go to the ad level, right? If you go to the ad level, they'll show this status here, eligible, okay? But if they're disapproved, then it'll say disapproved, right? And it'll usually give you a reason for that. So that's another thing you want to look at. Always look at the status of your campaigns. Go from your campaign to your ad group level to your ad level, so you can ensure that there are no missing pieces there to your campaign. Okay. So yeah, you'll see eligible. These are removed, but for the most part, if you have disapprovals, it will tell you here in the notification. It'll tell you. You could actually go directly to those ads to see what may have happened. Okay. All right. So, and another thing you want to look at when we're talking about ad disapprovals is sometimes they are approved with limitations, right? When you see the approved, some people, they tend to be, all right, well, it's approved. But if they say approved with the limitation, look at that limitation. See what that could, what may have happened there, right? There may be some sort of restriction within the income target. Maybe you can't use the income targeting for whatever reason, or maybe the ad mentions a certain brand, right? A trademark. Usually it'll still serve, but really be on the lookout for that, because that can limit your reach and the impressions that Google can give you, right? So it does put a dink on that regard and that performance. All right, those are the two troubleshoots so far. Again, look at the notifications. Please ensure that your ad group's enabled, your ads are eligible, showing up, right? And then number two is just ensuring that if there are some approved with limitations, you address those limitations and see what's going on there. Okay. Now, if you check the above out, you see that your campaigns are not spending. There's a few things that can be a culprit here. Okay. Let's talk about the bidding type here, right? So at times, when you just start out with Google Ads, and let's say you're using CPV, right? You may at times underbid, right? And your ad will not be served because the bid is too low, right? So you want to start with a high bid, usually at times depending on the niche, depending on let's say competition, I'll start out with 30 cent CPV, for example, right? I know it sounds crazy, like a 30 cent cost per view, it may be way too much, right? We want to look at getting like 4 cent, 5 cent cost per view, maybe up to 8 cent cost per view. But those are the things that you want to check out, is maybe your bid is too low, right? Same thing for target CPA. If you start with target CPA right away, right? Because let's say you've had some conversion history on your account, well, that bid is too low as well. So try increasing it by, let's say 10%, 15%, and let time pass to see if the account is still serving. Now, if that fails, then you may want to try a different bidding strategy, right? Try max conversions, okay? When you try max conversions, you're letting the algorithm essentially decide, hey, all right, this person wants the most possible bid for this particular targeting type, then we're just gonna go ahead and do that, and again, at times, it also happens where max conversion campaigns, they're still not firing, right? It's still not serving, okay? But from our experience, it's the surefire way to get your campaigns to spend. Now, this is a fair warning, is that a lot of the max conversion campaigns, when you launch them at the beginning, and you haven't launched them before, it usually tends to double spend, right? It'll spend double your budget, sometimes a little more. So be on the lookout, be conservative with your budget, but to a point where it starts firing, and then from there you want to obviously stabilize, but you want to keep a close eye on this, okay? So that's the bidding strategy. Now let's talk about your targeting, okay? So the targeting also plays a role into this. As you know, targeting can be contextual, it can be behavioral, or it can be, you can use keywords, you can use topics, right? You can use obviously Google's stock audiences, like in-market affinity, which by the way, we do have videos on the audience targeting. You can actually take a look at it up there. From a targeting perspective, it's important to answer these questions, right? So one, maybe did you choose a keyword campaign that has a very low volume, right? Check the search volume inside the keyword planner. This is one of the biggest things that you can do. Let's do a quick example here. I actually want to go back and get search volume forecast. Let's say, I don't know, Shopify advertising. There, so Shopify advertising, there's 210 average monthly searches, okay? And there's high competition for this, for example. But this is something that can fire, right? It does have some search volume there. If your offer is relevant to this, then this might be a good keyword to bid on, right? But if you have something where it's too specific, it may not work, right? It just may not fire at all. So you need to get it, you need to dial in a little bit of your keyword research there. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. Another thing is, your custom intent or custom affinity audiences, they also may be too specific. Again, if you're selecting keyword, that were generated from one specific URL, a custom intent URL that you created, and there's not a lot of volume for those, then your audience may have a hard time spending, right? So that's why there's a way that you can check that, and we do have a video about custom intent versus custom affinity, which breaks down how to create them, how to set them up, and how to read the insights as well. The insights are on the right-hand side, so I'll just show you real quick here. You'll get some insights. So for example, here on the right side, we're trying to bid for these particular keywords, right? So YouTube ad agency, YouTube advertising agency. You'll see that the weekly impressions are quite a bit here, 1 billion, 5 billion, right? You get some good numbers here. So this lets me know that this can fire, right? So those are just some guidelines there, some tips that you guys can use. So another type of targeting that has difficulties in spending is the placement targeting, right? So you'll see a lot of that in groups, and hey, my placement targeting is not spending, it's not firing. What could be the problem? Well, it could be that you don't have enough video URLs selected, a lot of YouTube video placements selected, right? So some people go with 5 or 10 very specific ones where you're like, I just want my video to show up there. You may not get impressions, okay? Usually with placement campaigns, we're seeing that between 50 and 90 video URLs is ideal to get things going. You can obviously add up to 6,000 video placements, and that should help getting your account going, okay? Because it's more for the algorithm to grab onto. Now keep in mind with placements, you just want to add video URLs. Don't add channels. That's another thing. Check to ensure that if you added channels, you're probably not going to get the campaign to spend. So just add video URLs specifically. Another reason why your campaign may not be running is you may have a different structure where you have 10, 15 different audiences in a couple ad groups. But a lot of times when you tell the algorithm you want to place a specific ad and display this to different targeting options, what ends up happening is the algorithm gets confused, right? So there's certain things that you want to avoid to create a big mess in terms of like the actual targeting, right? So, we've talked about this in previous videos about, being very selective and keeping things simple with your campaign structure, so that way you can just get things to fire, all right? So having multiple audiences within one ad group, that's not an ideal way for you to launch campaigns. You may not get this to fire. Okay. And then finally, we come to the last troubleshoot guideline here. If all fails, right? If you've done everything that we just mentioned here above, just checking things from a notification standpoint, from your ad level, the ad groups enabled, you've checked everything out and your campaigns are still not running. Trust me, I know how frustrating this is as a media buyer. The last thing you want to do, contact Google Ads, right? After you've tried it, you contact Google Ads. Get to Google support. They're usually very good at responding, and you basically let them know, hey, this is what's going on with my campaigns. What is going on? Why are my ads not serving? I actually have a video about that in terms of how to unban your Google ad account. What's the same deal? You kind of click the help button there and you contact support and you go through these steps and you tell them my ads are not serving, right? There could be a slight chance that your ads are stuck in some sort of loop, right? Some sort of glitch, and just they need a manual review, right? That also happens. I had a similar situation with one of our clients recently. We launched, everything was checked off. Everything that I just mentioned in this was clear. Everything was to the T, as they say. But the only thing we had missing, and that was not notified by Google, is the income targeting. There's no income targeting in France. We have a client where we're basically advertising in France. So we needed to exclude that in order for the campaigns to run, right? So we couldn't specifically segment by income targeting. Once we removed the income targeting, the ads served and they started spending. So there you have it, guys. It's super easy to essentially go in, look at what's not working within your structure at the beginning. Once you check everything out and everything is okay, but you're still not running, hey, contact Google support. At times they'll have an answer. Sometimes they'll say, hey, we're working on it, or they may not even know what may be going on at times, but for the most part, they'll give you some indication, okay? So there you have it. This is a way that you can actually ensure your YouTube campaigns are running, even if they show up as approved and eligible and they're still not running. These are a way that you can actually go out and see what's going on. All right, well, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If this was helpful, feel free to comment below. Don't forget to like, hit subscribe. And by the way, if you're looking to unban your Google ad account, right, or just get familiar with the process, then check out this video. You might get some information as well about how to unban your Google ad account, or just how to contact support directly. Thanks, and we'll see you on the next one.